Open your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. Hi, and welcome to the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. Now, what is this show all about, and who the heck am I? Well, my name is Sifu Boggy. Sifu means the guide, the muse, the person who points you to the way, to the Tao. And Boggy means the balance between the chaos and the calmness. Now, for the last 36 years, I've been studying different Taoist arts. The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. And they consist of Qigong, Tai Chi, Chinese massage, reflexology, Xun Qi Shen, which is Chinese Reiki, and many other skills. And they're used in the guises of the Barefoot Doctor, which is somebody who helps others heal themselves using those techniques, and the Dragon Dog Shaman, which they would describe themselves as spiritual scientists, because for them, scientific magicians and spiritual scientists. But for them, magic was just science not yet understood. So through my path, through my discoverings, I'm always looking for new techniques, new ways, hence the show. So the show is called The Way of Conscious Mindfulness, and it is a weekly Facebook Live podcast show discussing spirituality and science, balancing health and well-being with mind, body and spirit, with a Taoist twist. Again, what is the Tao? The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, surprise, surprise, we are not the normal talk show. Each session, we either have a subject or guest. Tonight we have a very cool guest, which I have been looking forward to, and our aim is to have an open discussion to help us all find new techniques, new skills, new ways to balance our very own personal Tao. So without further ado, let's just press this and welcome Tiffany onto the show. Good evening, Tiffany. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and I'm very honored to be with you this evening.
I'm very honored for you to be here as well. It's great to have you on the show. How is the energy for you? We're today is the day of the Lion's Gate. So is it being interesting for you?
Oh, it's been real interesting. It wasn't the roar that I was expecting, but it's still, I think it's interesting when you hear people say this is such high energetic times with all these planets in retrograde and with the Lion's Gate opening but all of us are kind of like, I feel like I don't want to get out of bed today. What is that?
In my head, I've got this. There's a friend that would say, if things are serious, somebody throws a book at you. This is a bit like a Boggy thing. Well, why throw the book at you when I can throw the whole library? And that's what's over with the eclipses and the retrogrades and the Lion's Gate and the this and that, and it's quite funny because up to the second eclipse, I was fine and dandy. I was really well. And then after the second eclipse, I do a show on the Akashic Academy called The Way of the Dragon Dog Shaman. And I did it next to the sea. I was down at the coast, and we had the sun setting and the moon rising, and it was glorious. And then the next day, I was pretty much ill for the first time in 15 years for about 5 days, and it's like, blimey, it's got to be bad. I'm ill. And that really never happened. Well, I said the last time was 15 years ago. So it is interesting. It is interesting what's definitely everything is being thrown at us, I think, at this moment in time. And of course, like I say, you got another eclipse coming at the end of the month. So yes, it's lots of fun, I feel.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel maybe like the whole enlightenment or ascension is like, okay, I'm going to go to a mountain or you know, and I'll be like a guru, and it's just all going to be so beautiful as it comes down. And in reality, is like you feel like you're a sponge being twisted and pulled, and it's like
There's some quite cool things. We'll do this very quickly. There's some quite cool things in Taoist philosophy about like I said, like enlightenment and ascension. And one of the there's a couple, but I'll just do one. There's one that says, you know, the person practicing, you know, for enlightenment, they sweep the floor, they do the dishes, they cook their food, they do their meditation, they do the qigong, and then they go to bed. Then one day they reach enlightenment. Then they swept the floor, they cleaned the dishes, they did their qigong, they cooked their food, and then they went to bed. In other words, the Taoist philosophy is that enlightenment, yeah, you know, it's an aha moment. But there are several aha moments, and you'll always get aha moments. But sometimes this is where I really wish I knew where my Tai Chi Warhammer was. The Tai Chi symbol is the bigger the down, the bigger the up. And I think we're going in the down. I mean, in the UK, it's really weird because in the UK, we've had the longest summer in 40 years. And the hottest summer in 40 years. And the last time they had one 40 years ago, they had a really, really hot summer. And they had a really rubbish winter, like real blizzards and cold, and the coldest they had for about 10 years. So that's interesting. But so we've got all this heat, and there's all these energies squeezing and squashing. And I think it's the way the universe works. It's, you know, like you want ascension, okay, you ask for it, and they'll throw everything at you. And it's about waking up, and it's about opening up, and it's about letting go. I always remember the hero's journey. I always forget who we spoke about this yesterday. I've forgotten his name already, but the book The Hero's Journey, and there's this whole thing about, you know, the hero, he becomes a hero because he goes through all the trials and tribulations. He goes through all those processes to become the hero. So you want ascension, you've got to go for all this stuff. You've got to go for all the releasing all the negativity and removing and getting rid of all that charge. But anyway, so back to you and the show. So I'm going to ask that question, that ultimate question that I ask every guest. Some can handle it, some run away screaming. He says, half joking, half telling the truth. So the question is, so the show is The Way of Tiffany White and The Way of the White Sage Woman. So let's go for you first. So Tiffany, what is your way? What is your Tao?
The first thing that comes to mind, because this is really what I'm all about, is balance. So that's I have weekly shows as well, and it's always about balance and finding our balance, because we do go from one extreme to the next so much in this life.
Yes.
And so it is like I love the yin and yang symbol behind you, so much like that. And that symbol is about balance. It's not about opposites. It's about oneness. It's about the light and the dark being the same entity, being the same being, and to find that balance. And we spin off balance if we're giving too much attention to the dark, too much attention to the light. So balance, balance, balance is always the key.
Yeah, and that symbol, I don't want to harp on too much about it, but the Tai Chi symbol is about it's not about opposing opposites. It's not, you know, when people say yin yang, they're actually talking about different symbols, half a black one, half a white one, and it's doing that. It's opposing opposites. It's good against bad. right against wrong, male against female, this versus against that. And we've been through that. That's what the last 14,000 years was about.
Yeah.
We're going into an energy, and this is why everything's going topsy-turvy, and this is why things feel all like turmoil, because of the fact that half black, half white circle is actually starting to spin, and it spins, and eventually it'll create that Tai Chi symbol. That's what it does. It will, in the Taoist philosophy, is that when you have two people opposing each other, first you get all the turmoil. Like if the water's going one way in a bowl, and you put your finger in the other way, what's the first thing that happens? You get splashback. As you try to change the current, the upheaval, you get big splashing waves, and that's what's happening. That's what we're going through. It's the upheaval. It's the upheaval of things being turned the other way, things being changed and altered. So okay. So you're all about balance, which is really cool. So what is the White Sage Woman? What is that?
Okay, so interestingly, the White Sage Woman was a name that was bestowed, that was given to me from indigenous elders at a drumming circle, and I totally I was unexpected for it. Let me say that. And so I grew up with different philosophies, and most definitely the Tao is one of them. And so I really didn't know too much about Native American history. But in moving from the South to the North, and we learned a lot about it and going to drumming circles and powwows. And so I found out too that hey, we all do have at least some sort of shaman guide with us. And so I connected more with that guide. And so I was at a drumming circle, and I just loved the sound of the drums and the heartbeat of the earth. And it was just so moving. And then afterwards, someone had come up to me, a dear friend of mine, actually. And he goes, hey, the elders have a message for you. The elders actually have a name for you. And I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't realize how serious a naming ceremony was. And I didn't know what was happening. Really, I was like, what? And he said, here's your name is White Sage Woman. And I was like, sage. I was like, I can't burn sage. It chokes me up. So I think it's kind of funny. And he says, stop. Don't make a joke about it. Don't put it on the back burner. This is serious. Use your name. And I really was like, seriously? What am I going to do with this? And this was, oh my goodness, probably like 11 years ago. And I've, over the time, totally understand the name now. I didn't understand it before. But I used it. I trust. I was like, okay, you know what? I learned the hard way by not trusting and fighting against, and it really is hard. And I'm tired of doing that. So I'm going to go with it. And so I've been using it since then. And it's really opened up, a lot more for me. I understand the name now. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's what was bestowed upon me. And I'm very honored to have that, because people were like, you don't understand. This doesn't happen all the time, and so, you have some powerful people in spirit that wanted you to have this name. And I was like, oh, okay. I treasure it, so.
Yeah. And yeah, it is one of those things. It is one of those big things when the sort of, when the ancients on the street say, you've got a name, it's like, okay. That's like receiving like keys to the celestial temple, it's like, it's a big thing. It is a big thing. So, I mean, how do you use these, which question first? what are the skills that you use as the White Sage Woman?
I've always really considered myself a healer, even though I've been open intuitively since I was a child, like you know, all of us really were as children, and we learned to shut it down. But I never did shut it down. And I did stop communicating with guides because it would upset my mom when I would sit there and say, oh, this spirit's around and this spirit, and she didn't like that. So I was like, is it okay to communicate with the angels? And she said yes. So I was like, all right. So I knew spirit was there, but I wouldn't talk to them. I wouldn't communicate with them. I just reverted right to the angels and light beings. I never saw angels with wings. They were these huge columns of light. I didn't know what an angel was supposed to look like until going to church, until being dragged to church. And this is an angel. And I'm like, that's not what an angel looks like to me, but okay.
Well, the interesting thing on that is, it's actually, we were discussing just before the show about the whole dragons, and in the dragons in China don't have wings, and that's because they fly. And the interpretation, what I got from there's information called from the Ancient Ones, which goes from it was spoke about in Sanskrit, the Ancient Ones. They were spoken about in Hinduism, spoken about in Buddhism, in Tibet Buddhism, and the Ancient Ones. One of the big things the Ancient Ones say is that about the people of light, or the pillars of light, that they were the light beings, and then or at least the representation within Christianity was that these people were of light, so therefore they were of heaven, so therefore they flew. So the wings were, for a lot, according to the information I've gone by, and even because I've had had Christian scholars, and we were saying that originally, you go back far enough, you'll see that these beings zipped in and out, were beings of light. They appeared through light and then they disappeared again, and the wings were added, more of a representation of them being of heaven, of the light thing. So but so that's, I've always found that interesting. It doesn't mean that there isn't winged beings. Doesn't mean if they have light, that means they can change into anything they want. So if they want you to see them as angels with wings, they'll see you as angels with wings. They want you to see you to see them, or you would accept them more if they turned up as a unicorn, then they'd probably do that as well.
Exactly. So, right. It's what you're comfortable with, and I was very comfortable with that. And so they still come to me as beings of light, even though I have angels all over the house with the wings, because I understand that the wings were added on, and what that was meant to be is like a higher symbol, higher. And even like we talked about before, like the medical staff, the caudicus has wings. So it's okay, we'll honor that too. But really it's even as a child, my motivation has been healing. That's part of that balance is I've always believed that Earth will go back, and yes, I'm saying back to peace. And how do we achieve peace? People think of this and they think so big outside of them, and it gets very frustrating. And it's really so simple. When you achieve peace within you, it happens outside of you. So if everyone took care of their own balance and maintain and reach that peaceful state of being, then guess what? It just catches on like wildfire, and bam, the world's in a state of peace. So it's not impossible. It's very possible.
I'm pretty sure, because I had to study through my teachings, through becoming a barefoot doctor and dragon dog shaman, that I had to study a lot of different things. And actually theology was one of them. I actually had to study Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, Sikhism, and I actually had a Hebrew friend who actually helped me, because it was insisted upon that I actually read the Old Testament in Hebrew. And so, you know, fortunately, I had somebody who knew Hebrew, but that opened up many things. And it's in the New Testament. I think it's the Old Testament that says that heaven is within you. And they sort of say it once, and then it sort of almost disappears. You're never mentioned again. And it's like, you know, but what do you mean by that? You know, heaven and the, you know, if we go a tiny little bit more controversial, maybe, is that the Hebrew translation is different to the Western translation, like the translation of the Old Testament, where it says man, God created man in His own image. My friend said, no, it's not what it says. And what it says is that the closest he could get in for English is that God created everything in its own image. And of course that's an oxymoron straight away, because, well, how can everything be the image of God unless everything is God? And therefore when, and I think the heaven is within you is very close within that verse, and it was, then that would make sense that you know, if you are the creator, or at least within psychology and NLP, you are the creator of your own reality. You know, it's your own subconscious and your own mind that determines, you know, if you decide something's negative, you'll always see it as negative. If you see something that's positive, you'll always see it as positive. So you create your own reality. So therefore, at least in that perspective, you know, this can be heaven or hell on your point of view, you know, in your point of view of how you perceive the world, you can change it. And as you sort of just said, which is actually what like one of the things the FBI did, was that you have enough people all focusing on a positive outcome, you change reality. I don't want to get too much into that, or the FBI studies, but basically they dropped the crime rate. And then the last experiment they did, they dropped terrorism. This was pre September the 11th, but they dropped the terrorism rate by a huge 70% over a 5-day period, 4 or 5 day period. So we know, we as in the collective we, or the government we know that these things are possible. We know all about this already. It's just the rest of us are actually catching up. The rest of us are actually, you know, hopefully finding this out for ourselves. And that's part of, I think, of all this going on at the moment. The whole, you know, energy and the retrogrades, it's clearing out the poo, so you can actually make room for the space for the energy. Yes, very much. It's all about the Tai Chi.
And that's what I had a hard time with, being raised in a very devout Christian household. So I'd have a lot of conversations. My grandfather and my grandfather's a Mason, and we would have these great conversations, and he had always tell me, when I said heaven was within, he said, yes, as above, so below, as within, so without. And that always stuck with me. And I guess I was like, yes, I relate to that so very much. Yeah.
And funny enough, that would go very much into, well, you know, if we sort of keep the Christian theme a little bit, is with the Star of David, which is actually both in Christianity and Judaism. The Star of David is actually the Merkaba or Merkaba.
Yes.
And as above, so below, it's the two energies, it's the heaven and the earth blending together, becoming one, which again, that is in essence, the Merkaba is another version of the Tai Chi symbol. As above, so below is same thing. This is this, you know, this interesting, you know, subject of is that, you know, things, you want balance, you have to if you want balance, you have to go for the poo, you have to go for the rubber, you have to clear, you know, if you want a tidy house and your house is not tidy, you have to tidy up, which is going to cause pain, which is going to cause discomfort. Or if you want a beautiful house, you have beautiful land and you want to build a beautiful house, you or somebody that you employ is going to have to go through the hard work of building the house. So there is the turmoil, the chore of bringing that up. It's all about the it's all about the balance. You can't. There's a saying that I used to say that not so much now, but many years ago used to be very controversial for a lot of people. I might have sworn at some people because I used to say there is no good or bad, there just is. And especially very Christian people, I know. I just called their mum and uncle's dog's ear biting gnat or something of that sort, because they get really upset with me. So, but what about all the horrors in the world? But this is the balance. When these happen when other things are not balanced. It's all about the disharmony. But to get harmony, you also have to have experienced disharmony, and we've been through that. Especially in the last 20 years, we're going through all the disharmony, and then from that rough water, is the aim is to calm things down, is to make things more balanced. But hey, what do I know? as any good Taoist should say. So like what? So you said healing is how? What's your healing? How do you heal? What's your preferred method?
It was very interesting. Is that a lot of my teachings I learned from the Council of Light, from the angels. I really went in because I grew up of don't talk about what you see, it's not accepted, and I didn't want to get thrown into some mental institute. So I was like, okay, I'll keep everything just quietly to myself. But I did have personal teachings from the angels. Edgar Cayce books helped me a lot. I felt, yes, Edgar Cayce. And then even Yeshua, I asked Jesus, why I knew him as Yeshua, to come in and answer my questions for me, and he would. So he was a great teacher. Even now, he is still a great teacher to those that want to ask him questions. And so this was my teenage years. I mean, he was very helpful. Isis stepped in and helped me, and I'm talking the only Isis that I will refer to, the feminine goddess, because she helped me with balance, because in my past life, I was a male, and I had a very tortured past life. Here's a tattoo to represent my masculine. I was a Knights Templar, and I was tortured. And I remember that life. And so I was very angry as a child coming in as a girl. I'm a girl? And I was a rough tomboy growing up. I was just, but the irony is that I was the first girl born to my dad's side of the family in over 80 years. So they wanted to treat me like a princess, and I just wanted to beat somebody up. And so Isis stepped in when I was a teenager and hit puberty to help me deal with, don't be so angry. We've got to embrace this feminine energy, embrace the skin you're in this lifetime, and let's move on. And so it's a lot of inner healing. Healing happens every day. It is not something that a destination you achieve and you're done. No, it's something, it's ongoing every day.
Yeah. 100%. There's we're in the Taoist philosophy. There's one of with the healers. There's a set of healers who do facial diagnosis. Observation through the body, through the features, the facial features of the organs and possible things that can. Possible things that you will get in the future or at some point with illness. And the thing with Chinese or Oriental diagnosis, its original term, was that one of the first things when you're learning it, you go, oh my God, everybody's ill. Everybody's got the potential of being ill. Oh my, I'm surrounded by sick people. And and then it's like and you progress, and it's like yeah, it's and one of my teachers. One of my teachers was like the happy Buddha, this big guy, always happy, always very, very jolly. The other one was like the Chinese Darth Vader. I say that in the most loving way, but he was notoriously known. If you ask too many questions, I started off like 11 years old, but if you ask too many questions, you get hit. And through time, but the whole point of, you know, if you ask too many questions, if you didn't practice enough, if you was talking too much, guess who's good at that one? You would get whacked, and through the period of time it advanced. But the whole point of the whack was what Bruce Lee once said, it's like a finger pointing towards the heaven. Do not focus on the finger or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. So do not focus too much on the questions, and listen. But what happened is like when I said like about everybody's sick, and that means everybody needs healing, and he got a whack on the head and then shown the Tai Chi symbol, and it's the flow. It's the flow, and what he means is that we're all going through wellness, ease and dis-ease, wellness and disharmony. It will always be an ongoing process. Even if you ascend, there will be dis-ease on a far smaller scale. That's why the Tai Chi symbol has the two little dots, because it's showing even when you appear to be full of one thing or full of the other, the shadow is always there. The essence will always there. And it was in the Gnostics, sort of bringing back a little bit of Christianity, that said about Jesus Christ was to have said, you do not need you do not need a church to find God. You pick up a rock and you'll find it in the shadows. It's everywhere, so the healing is everywhere. It is every and Chinese are they're a big one for food, for healing. So not just herbs, but actually food. So
herbs are food. Yeah.
But even the food itself, there are actually Chinese restaurants you'll go to, or in China, where you go and see a doctor, or there's a doctor in the kiosk, or the front of the restaurant, and he looks at your pulse, gets you to stick your tongue out, and he'll go, this is what you need to balance, and he gives you a prescription. This prescription is a set of food, and then the chef will go, okay, and he will make a particular dish that will balance your chi, will balance your energies.
Yeah. I've always reverted to, I like the traditional Chinese medicine because it is very powerful and very effective, and they do use food, which is what food we're supposed to, food is healing. I did realize my mother had battled cancer 3 times in her life, and the first time was in her early 30s. So I was like 10 or 11 when her first round. But I saw when she allowed the dis-ease to come into her body. It was because my mom and dad went through a really bad divorce when I was like 5 years old. So I remember a time when my mom was a single mother, me and my brother, and she was always crying, always upset. And I was concerned because I knew she was off balance. And then I could see this darkness in her aura. I knew it wasn't an entity. I knew it wasn't something, an attachment like that. She created it because when she was happy, it would shrink. When she got upset again, it would follow her. And I was very concerned. I did not want it. I knew it that as a young child, she should not enter her body. So I kept trying to make her laugh, kept trying to be goofy, but again, that's not my choice. That's not my responsibility. It was her choice. And then when I did see it go into the body, I knew, okay, well, we're in for a ride. Here we go.
And And it's funny that we talk about that sort of thing. Is that I know that there's been cartoons that actually just, the storm cloud above somebody's head, when they're really upset, and it's and it's just like the cartoons you've had, the devil and the angel, which is the ego and your intuition. It's and the old saying of that everything, the universe is always talking to you. It's everything is your see-through, and these cartoon drawers were either secretly, purposefully, or totally unwittingly drawing how things react in nature, how things are affecting the body. Is that like you say, it's not an entity. That storm cloud you generated. It's your dis-ease. It's all that, and then it builds up and it builds up, and like I said, it enters, or when it bursts, it will rain down upon you, and then it washes you with what the Chinese would call cha. It washes you with negative energy, or energy you don't want. And I mean, like I said, I've studied many things, and like when I studied psychology, it's actually interesting that they do, they get right to the border, they get right to the line, and they say that there is possible evidence, but it was bloody strong evidence. There was lots of case studies on it, but they don't want to admit that. But there's strong evidence to show that the psyche affects the physical condition, affects the body. So, but now, that was back in like 20 years ago. Now they're actually admitting it. They will say, the medical profession does say that stress, if a person is stressed, it will affect the immune system. It does actually affect your immune system, and they've actually shown it, chemically, in case studies, that people who are depressed or stressed or all of the above, they are 5 to 10 times more likely to get illness, to pick things up. All things and because this is the other thing about the in medical science, most people don't get. Bacteria lives in you all the time. There's colds and things there all the blooming time, and you get them not because they've attacked you. You get them because your immune system has dropped, and therefore they now can affect you. They've been there all along, but they couldn't affect you. And that was a real aha moment for me when I saw that, because the Eastern stuff always saw it, and it's like, yeah, I get that. But when I actually saw it within the medical, even the medical knowledge knows that, because this big thing about, there's a flu bug going around. No, that flu bug's always bloody there. It's always there. It's actually parts of it are inside your system. But when your immunity drops, when your immunity can no longer keep fighting it at the level it's fighting at, then it starts to affect it. So there's and I think for some people that may scare them more, but there's a constant sort of war going on in you of negativity, and it's when you are affected by that, or viruses, and when you're affected by that, then the viruses affect your immune system. But when your immune system is fully working, and the force fields are up, and the Jedi Knight are out in their droves, the flu hasn't got a chance. And that's the thing is that and I've seen it so many times with friends of students or students who something's really upset them, or they've got really depressed, and suddenly they're really depressed, and then suddenly they get ill, or they're working, work, and they're totally depleted of energy, and then they get ill, and it's like one's because of the other. We still see it as, for a lot of people, they still see it as a coincidence, and it's not a coincidence. No. It's
and the thing is, we were taught to use our brains, to use our mind, but the thing is that our brain will ignore our feelings, and if we're not taking care of it, and that's what I saw was, you're storing it in you like a Pandora's box, but you're storing acid in you, and acid will do more damage to the container than anything else. So now your mindset right here, I'm moving forward, I'm successful, I'm doing this, but you got all this crap buried, and it's ripping holes in your intestines. It's ripping holes. It's allowing openings energetically for other things to come in, for dis-ease to come into your physical body. You're not taking care of anything by ignoring it. It still happens, and it can build and build and build years and years. It doesn't happen instantaneously. This is us allowing it to manifest within your body. And interestingly, you know, my birth dad, my dad went on 4 marriages. He ended up dying of a form of cancer too, from a time in their youth when their hearts were broken and they never dealt with it effectively, even though they got remarried and had health and had happy lives. But they really didn't, did they? Because they didn't deal with the old stuff. We have to, like, clean the rubbish out of your home. You've got to do it in your body. You've got clutter inside you. Get it out. Because if you don't, it will put you down. Like you said, it will strip your immunity down even more. And, you know, the earth is a garden. I want you to think about this now for a minute. So you know how much bacteria is all around us? We are exposed to so much all the time that we really don't want to be immune to that, because then we're not connected with nature anymore. How can we be one with nature, but separate from, oh, I don't want that germ? You know, no.
You know, I know from, there's a couple, I would never mention the names, but I can see them in my head, and you know, they brought up kids, and you know, their house was cleaner than a surgeon's operation theatre, but their kids sooner or later would you know, go out somewhere, and they'd come back, and instead of getting a little cold, they'd be knocked down for weeks. And you know, and you know, I can hear the mum saying, but you know, I always make sure the house is so clean. And say, no,
that's just designed to kill us all. So you know, seriously, the healthiest kids, let them go out there and eat dirt. Let them eat sand. Let them eat whatever. You know what? It helps build their immune system. How can we say we're one with nature, but don't want to get dirty? What?
Yeah. I'm known for sharing 10 tons of stuff every day, and one of the ones I have shared is about earthing. You know, he's actually going outside and being barefooted. In actual fact, the barefoot doctor was, you know, more than just a metaphor. It was the whole point of, and again, you know, like 20 years ago, people go, oh, what nonsense, oh, that's hippie stuff. But again, there's actually, and I've shared these from a good friend of mine, David Wolf. He's got the case studies of earthing and how it actually increases the immune system, and it balances the bio electrical system of the body, which the heart, the Torah, the trigeal field, that's around the heart, it actually increases when we go outside and when we when we, you know, actually put our feet in the ground and we connect with that bioelectrical energy. So, you know, this is all important. You know, we talk about the shaman sort of as like this role, but a bit like a healer. We should all be healers. We should all be shaman. You know, we should all be seekers of the Tao. You know, and I've got to do it. The pillar of light. We all got to be Jedi. You know, it's because that's where you find balance. That's where you find, you know, your harmony is by you. There's this interesting thing. I don't know if you have this in the States, but in the UK. Over the years, you know, like when I say what I do, I get people say, oh, you do an awful lot of things. Isn't that a jack of all trades? As in the saying, a jack of all trades and the master of none. And I always say, but hold up, you brush your teeth, don't you? You know, you do your shoelaces up. You can get dressed. You drive a car. You possibly write and read. That's an awful lot of skills, isn't it? Or aren't they essential skills? You know, and because the simple way that my teacher, after whacking me on the head, would say is that everything you do, it enhances everything else you know. That every skill you learn enhances everything else. So this is why the samurai, you know, they were masters of calligraphy, you know, of, you know, what, writing and drawing. They were masters of the tea ceremony. They were masters of the bonsai, as well as being masters of the sword, because all these skills integrate and balance. And
so it's like the balance of doing and being.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. That was cool. Indeed. Yes, Sifu. Yes, indeed. Very much so. And yeah, that's the point. And healing is this, you know, like people are saying about, oh, you know, cleansing, or, you know, doing the cleansing or whatnot. You should be doing that anyway. You should be doing that as part of your process. That's why I say I think everybody should, in a way, be a shaman, because, you know, just
we
like
all
you
have that ability. You know, we all have that ability, and that's the thing, is that we should. So energy healing, we should all scan our body every morning and every night, and it's easy. You know, your body will talk to you. If you would just stop the mind chatter and listen, your body will tell you exactly what's going on. And you can scan your body and know just, oh, okay. And get in the habit of that so that you know thyself. You need to know your body inside and out so that you can tell when you're off balance. And a great analogy I like to use is the spider in a spider web. All right. The spider can be on one part of the web, and something flies into the web. The spider knows exactly where in the web that insect or whatever flew into it is, and it instantly goes there. We need to be that sensitive with our body that we instinctively know, oh, there's a hole, or there's a potential possibility for disease to come in through this hole. I need to take care of it right now.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. Another way, one of the ways my CFUs would say is like juggling as well. You know, when you're juggling balls, your attention has to be of the rhythm and the flow, but you know, if you flip one too high, you can sort of know it, and then you have to, you know, rebalance the other ones. So it's that, or I used to be a chef, and it's the whole thing of, you know, a conveyor belt of food coming through. You know, if there's an issue, you know, all something, you know, you've got to sort it out and balance everything up. And it's just it's the same thing. It's all going back to the balance. But again, like, you know, you're saying about the energy healing. When you listen to our old words, you know, John, give Tiffany my love. You know, send her my love. Send my love. Say, I'm thinking of you. You know, my thoughts are with you. Thoughts, love, it's all energy. We do it all the time. We saying the words about energy healing, and like from the beginning of the show is that you know, as kids, as you said, as a child, you saw these things, you saw these entities, and I've, you know, over the years, I've had to hold my tongue when like little kids are talking to their imaginary friend and then getting told off by their parents. So, oh, you're an adult now, you shouldn't have imaginary friends, you shouldn't be doing that, or you shouldn't. And it's like, why? And then people say, oh, you know, what's the world coming to? Why have we all these problems? Why are children so disrespectful? Well, maybe because you took away all their toys, and you've taken away their harmony with the universe and taken away their love. Maybe that's why they are disrespectful and don't care about people anymore. You know, you know.
Exactly. I mean, and they know everything. They see it. And so what they're taught as a child is that, so does growing up to be an adult means I have to be off balance?
Yeah.
Because they're miserable. So what kind of message is that in kids?
Well, does growing up mean I have to be a miserable git? Well, apparently so. That's why I've never grown up. You know, it's and there's again, because there's this big thing in I'll always shows about the Tao. I'll always bring it up. The Tao. There's this big thing in Taoism about be like a child or play like a child, but take responsibility like an adult. Meaning, go out and be barefooted and play and laugh and have fun, but also take responsibility, as in, if you're ill, you take responsibility for that. It's not blaming everybody else, the weather or the tax man or great Uncle Bert. Illness, everything that happens to you has come into you and it's been accepted by you. It's one of those big challenges that because like in the Taoist thing of there is no good or bad, there just is, because when they say when negative things happen, that you have subconsciously or your higher self has accepted that to enter your life. These things are happening to challenge you, for you to have something to overcome, for you to have some dealings, because if you're not happy, then it will give you stuff that will keep you in the mood that you obviously want to be in. So if you focus, my life is always miserable, my life is so bad, the universe just hears bad, miserable. Okay, here we go. Because we are your genie. We will give you exactly what you want.
Exactly. Your wishes are command. Hello, people, listen to this. And life doesn't happen to you. Life happens through you, because we're energy and we're all connected. It's not single pointing out one particular person to ruin your day. We're responding to something that happens. And as soon as we stop taking it personal and go, oh, okay, so it just is the way that it is, and I'm not going to let this throw me off. I appreciate whatever lessons I'm learning from this and moving on. And also know that the earth is and the universe are balancing the energies, and so we're part of that balancing act. And we need to just expand ourselves. And I'm not saying the mind is bad, but the mind needs to be second in command to the Sacred Heart Center. That's where all our knowledge is. That's the go within. That's it right there. And notice it's command. When you live here, it's from a place of command. When you live here, it's control.
Yeah, this is the heart in Chinese medicine / philosophy, because they're sort of all three are spirituality, philosophy, medicine. They're all intertwined. But they talk about this being the emperor. The heart is the emperor. It's also the fire in the elements. The heart is the fire energy, and the fire is also the emperor. So the fire energy is also obviously your emotions. And so it's that thing of controlling the fire. You don't want too much fire, because then you become overwhelmed with anger and aggression, but you don't want too little fire where you don't have the love and compassion. It goes back to that, the balance. But the emperor again, and at least with the Eastern philosophy of this way of thinking, the emperor is about commanding, but also the compassion, having the compassion to its troops, its people, which is the body, is to give it love and compassion. And the interesting thing, even though not all the emperors actually followed this, but at least the 5000 BC, the Yellow Emperor talked about, he was the servant to the people, that his role was to look after his children, look after the people. So it's about looking after your heart, and then your heart will look after you,
Yes.
That's the balance. Okay, I'll just go quick through some of the comments that we've had. We've had a hello from Belinda, one of our regulars. Hello, Belinda, how you doing? Kirath also says hello. Michelle Earl, she says hello. How you doing? We've had Dial.
Hello. South Africa.
South Africa, yeah. Kiraf also said, we are human beings with the tendency to go off. Yeah, well, I always go off. Go off on one anyway. Sarah, she also says hello. Carol.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. And Carol saying she's loving the topic. Well, I'm glad. That is all good. Julia says, hey, Tiffany.
Oh, hi, Julia. Thanks for tuning in, dear.
Hello, everyone. Yep, thank you so much. We also had another one of... what did I do there? Move it up. Yep, so there is also Monica, one of my regulars for the show. Hi, Monica. How are you doing? And then Michelle. So Michelle's had this... I'll try and read it out. So it says, I am different. I have found balance when I embraced my masculinity. My parents forced me to be someone I was not. I was angry until... moved. I was angry and... I've just lost it, sorry. I was angry until I embraced my authentic self. I had dissociative disorder, split personality disorder. Until I embraced my true authentic self, I am a boy in a girl's body.
I totally understand that, Michelle, because that's how I grew up feeling too. Absolutely. But a lot of people, well, look at you, blonde hair, blue eyes, you're just as cute as a button, but I didn't see what everyone else saw. There was major disharmony within me, and I embraced, and you know what? It's different for everybody. I knew that what I had to do, my mission in this life, or what helped me to find my balance, was the way that I had to do that. Was that I've always loved the masculine. I had to love the feminine side and embrace the feminine. And that's why Isis came in and said, love the skin that you're in. So it's different for everybody. But I understand, Michelle, what you were feeling, because that's how I grew up, conflicted feeling too. So I'm really happy, though, that you are embracing your authentic self, because that is what we need. Authenticity, know thyself, and absolutely be programmed. My mom was trying to program me too much and to be something I wasn't either. And we just got to be true to us.
And now there's an interesting thing within Buddhism and Taoism, is that one of the things that was sort of, because there's a very strong belief within China, there's a very strong belief of reincarnation. It is accepted just as easily as, that tomorrow will be another day. To them it's a normal thing. And so they have this very interesting thing of, where we're now getting lots of people who feel like who want to going through transgender. We're having a lot, for same-sex people who are more attracted to the same sex. And now the interesting thing with all of this within that ancient culture is their logic is that that's because you were that other, you may be male now, but you originally were female. So the reason that you feel so disconnected, the reason and when you, again, in psychology, this interesting thing in psychology, it talks about listening to people's words. And when you listen to people's words, they're telling you exactly what the subconscious is telling you exactly what's going on. It's saying, I feel like I'm not in my body, because you're not. Because you were probably a female for several lifetimes, and now suddenly we're in the turnaround, or for whatever reason you've come a male. But the whole point of balance is that you've in some ways you needed that force of this energy onto you, and so there's this really interesting thing where they say, well, they don't see a problem with being transgender, or don't see a problem to a degree with homosexuality, because they say, well, this is because, you've gone into the way they would put it is that you've gone into a new body too quickly. That you've gone from one lifetime to the next, and you're still stuck in that old body. You're still stuck in that old way, and there is this interesting thing with this. What they actually, and I can't say this explains everybody, but when a child, they talk about when a child is born, they still remember themselves as that other person.
Yes.
They're allowed to grow it out, but when it's stopped, when it's withheld, when people tell that person stop being like that, or you must get rid of that, that is then locked away, and then it comes out later. And so they're sort of saying is that, you know, is that when people are, well, but she also said it, when she's not allowed to be herself, you know, it's created turmoil, it's created issues, and it's actually about becoming the authentic self, allowing you to be who you feel you are, who you are inside. Because this is just a shell. This is just an outer thing. It's who you are inside that actually is important, and there shouldn't be a problem. You know, if life is truly balanced, then you should be whoever you want to be. You know, if you want to be Catmandu, Cat Ninja, Burger of the East, then go do it. You know, so
Exactly.
you know, you are who you are. But hey, what do I know? So every good hour should say that. Okay, so we've done an hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. Is there anything else you wanted sort of to talk about or mention before the end of the show?
I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah, see, yeah, I think I should have given you an advanced health an advanced warning that Dragon Lionsgate energy Boggy might be a little bit hyper. Yeah, you've got the very hyper version, the hyped up version. So actually, some of the viewers will say, "No, this is normal Boggy." You know, I don't know what's going on there. So, but I've enjoyed the show immensely. It's been great fun. It's gone very quickly, I must say. But thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very honored to be with each and every one of you, sitting in sacred circle with each of you today. Thank you very much.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Wow, do you have a website? That's why.
Oh, yes, and it is whitesagewoman.com.
Right. Okay. So I would write that down, but whitesagewoman.com. And it's with an A, not an E, because my dyslexia, we had to I had a little typing error earlier in the week. So yes, whitesagewoman.com if you'd like to find Tiffany and speak to her. So thank you so much for being on the show, Tiffany. It was a great pleasure, and maybe you can come on again in the future. I'd love to have you on again. Either as a guest or even as a co-host, maybe, because I'm quite happy to come on and ask other people questions and join part of the mayhem, which normally happens when I'm about. But
that would be great. Yes. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, I will send you the links in the future then.
Yes.
That is not a problem. So, Julia said, thank you very much. Sure, thank you. Great show. Sarah also said, I definitely let my son be who he is and always will. Good girl. So you should, but good girl. And Monica also put thank you as well. So thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, so I just got to put a reminder now because I've forgotten already. So whitesagewoman.com is Tiffany's website. So look that up. If you're ever interested in my stuff, you can find me on here on Facebook under Sifu Boggy Shun Dao Mystery School. And I teach many stuff. I am also on, in fact, in the next 20 minutes, I'm actually going to be on the Akashic Academy doing the Way of the Dragon Dog Shaman. So if that sort of thing interests you, go and have a look. So otherwise, thank you so much. See you guys soon. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Loved the show. And for now, just you Tiffany, just hold on for a second. But for everybody else, take care. Bye for now. Love, Chi, and Shen from Tiffany and from myself and from the Way of Conscious Mindfulness.